Hello everyone, welcome to ABC Interactive English. It is day 3, or part C, of our A Day at School. Man, this day seems like it's just been going on and on. But it is near the end of the school day, so that's kind of sometimes when fun things happen at school, especially if you're in North America, a lot of kids will end up playing sports in school. And if you're on any of the school sports teams, you'll have a game or a practice, and that will usually come right at the end of the school day in the afternoon. I think that's kind of the thing we'll be looking at today. So, did you play a lot of sports in high school? I imagine you probably did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah?
The main one that I played was volleyball. I kind of played volleyball most of my life, but I also tried tennis and I did track and field.
Right.
In middle school, I did softball and soccer, and I played basketball, and I've probably played just about every sport our school offered.
That's true.
But in high school, I focused on volleyball, and then I did tennis in the spring for fun.
Okay. And were your teams quite successful? Did you win championships?
Yes,
or at
actually.
least have good teams?
So we had a volleyball club team that actually won like a whole countrywide tournament.
Whoa!
Yeah, and then our school team was state champions like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years in a row, something like that.
Your volleyball teams were really good.
Really good.
Huh, that's very, very impressive. So, let's check out what Clint and Paula will be playing as they kind of get into the sports part of their school day. Let's check it out.
Paula waves to Clint from the playing field after school.
Why are you still here?
I had to run around the track in my last class, so I'm cooling down.
Do you need a ride home? My mom's here to get me.
All right, so yes, A Day at School, Part C. Let's see what's going on as we begin. We read Clint. Clint waves to Paula from the playing field after school. All right, so school is over. It's probably 3:30, 4 in the afternoon. School in North America usually ends around that time. Maybe
2:30 for us.
oh, really? Very early. Maybe a little earlier, a little later. But as I said, if you do play sports, you'll stick around the school to practice or play a game with your team. And many sports, you will find them doing out on the playing field. So if it's a field, it's outdoors. If it's a field, it's got grass on the ground. And if it's a playing field, they've probably painted some lines, right? A soccer playing field, American football, you play on a field. Well, baseball, we could call it the baseball field or the baseball diamond because it has that shape. But the point here is we're not inside. It's not a basketball or a volleyball field. That would be a court because it's inside and it's probably a hard wood or something. If it's a field, it's outside, it's grassy, and you're probably doing a sport on it like soccer or American football or something like that. So, what are they playing actually?
So we'll find out.
Yeah.
So Paula then says, "Why are you still here?" So talking to Clint, because Clint is waving to her and she's like, "Why are you still here?"
Okay.
So why is he there? I don't know. Let's see.
She would expect that he would be on his way home or at home by now. It's after school time. And Clint explains why he's there. He said, "I had to run around the track in my last class, so I'm cooling down." Okay, so he was doing sports not as part of a school sports team, but as part of his gym class or his PE class or his phys ed class. We call this a lot of different things, but this is that class in school where you don't do anything like sitting at a desk writing in a book, you play sports. And in this case, the sport was probably running or something like that.
It was just running around the track.
He's on the track.
Yes, and so this track is something that a lot of schools will have, and it'll be outside, and it's usually kind of a an oval shape, I guess, not a semicircle, an oval shape.
Flat circle.
Yeah, and it's generally it is 400 meters around, and so then you do that 4 times for a mile. Although I'm now mixing meters and miles because I'm from America and that's how we do that.
Right.
But if you play track and field, then you would run on this track. and you might run the 100 meters or the 200 meters or the 400 or the 800 2 laps. That was always the worst.
Okay, that is a long distance. But yeah, generally in Taiwan, you might have a basketball court or a bigger sports playing field, and then around the outside, it usually is hard. It's not grass. They'll paint lines on it, and when you do a running race, you follow your lines, you follow your part of the track if you're doing any of those running events.
And hopefully if you have a nice track, it's kind of a little bit rubbery almost, so that you can save your legs from all the running.
That's right. But many high schools here in Taiwan will have a track outside, and often in the evening people go there. Old folks or young folks go there to walk or run around the track. It's a good, safe way to run, not out on the street and not, across the country. You run on the track, much easier. So Paula asks Clint a good question here.
Yes, so then she goes, do you need a ride home?
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, my mom's here to get me. So they must live, again, we know that they're friends, and they must live kind of close to each other.
Maybe they're neighbors.
Maybe they're actual neighbors in real life too. And so she's asking, hey, you're still here? Do you need a ride home? Because her mom's there already and they can make it kind of convenient, just pick you up too.
That's right. He won't have to take the bus home. Another way we might say that is, hey, do you need a lift? If someone offers you a lift, they're basically saying, I'm going to this place. Do you want to come in my car? Come with me. A ride, a lift, a ride home, something like that. Well, we'll see what he says to that very kind offer after this break.
That'd be great. Thanks. Hey, what's the matter with your finger?
My lab partner made a careless mistake and burned it.
No way. Are you okay? And is that why you didn't come to the cafeteria?
I'm fine, and yeah, I was in the nurse's office for a while.
Phew, I'm glad you're okay.
All right, so we are back. Clint is very excited and happy that Paula offered him a ride home. Her mother will drive them both home, saving him some time. So he says, that'd be great. Thanks. Yeah, I'll be very happy for you to drive me home. And then he notices something and he says, hey, so it's something he just saw, kind of surprising, maybe also a little scary or shocking. Hey, what's the matter with your finger? And when he said, hey, he might use his finger to point at her finger because something's going on. What's that?
Yeah, and so then Paula says, my lab partner made a careless mistake and burned it.
Ow, burned her finger in chemistry class?
Yes, in chemistry class.
Well, when you're working with fire and other things, it might be quite likely to burn your finger because your fingers are these things. They're on our hands. We use them to move things, pick things up, touch things, drop things, all that kind of stuff. We have 5 fingers on each hand, 10 fingers. Some would say this is not a finger, it's the thumb. And we do say thumb, first finger, middle finger, ring finger, and little finger or pinky finger. But basically your fingers and the rest of it is your hand.
Yes, and so then also in this little reading, we had the lab partner.
Yes.
So if you remember from before, we had laboratory, and that could be shortened to lab. So this is the lab partner or the person that Paula was working with in chemistry.
The person who burned her finger.
Yeah, unfortunately, who burned her finger.
Yeah,
but
him.
Partner being the person that you might work with on a project in this case. But it's basically the person that you are with doing whatever it is that you might be doing. In this case, we would be partners for hosting, or you might have a partner being a boyfriend, a girlfriend, something like that.
My life partner, or my animal partner, my pet dog.
Yes.
But there you go. And we also have this adjective careless. Yeah, that's right. Remember, Paula hurt herself. And maybe I think she actually said her partner was careless. When you're careless, you make mistakes. You have accidents happen because you or someone else wasn't paying attention. You didn't do the things you needed to do to be safe. You were kind of like, whatever, or you were just thinking about something, or something took your mind off what you were doing. When I'm in the kitchen and I cut my finger, it's not the knife's fault. It's not the tomato's fault. It's my fault. I was careless. I was doing it too fast. My fingers got too close. and an accident happened. The
scary.
opposite would be careful. C-A-R-E-F-U-L. If you are careful, you are making sure to notice things. You are making sure that nothing happens. But if you kind of do things and your attention is not on what you're doing, you're not really noticing things, you could be careless, and that could lead to a mistake. In this case, it led to Paula burning her finger.
Yes, so definitely not something you want to be when you are in a chem lab and you're working with fire and
dangerous chemicals. You need to be careful,
yes.
definitely. Yeah.
And so in this case, she ended up getting burned. And so burn is when something hot touches your skin, and then it will just really hurt. Depending on how bad the burn is, it could get a little blister, or it could really make the skin kind of like yucky or even fall off, or something like that. That's a way worse burn. Hopefully, she just got a little burn and she might have a little mark and just have to put a Band-Aid on it and be a little bit careful. But burns are definitely not fun. You also could use this word with sunburn. And so a lot of times in the summer, if you're not wearing sunscreen and you get too much sun, then all of a sudden you're going to turn red, and that kind of hurts, and so that would be called a sunburn.
True. You could also burn your food if you don't pay attention when you're cooking things and your chicken starts to turn black and smoke comes off. Oh, that's burn. You're burning the chicken. Don't do that. You want to cook it nicely. Be careful when you're working with fire, because it's easy to burn things yourself or other things. All right, back to the dialogue. So Clint just heard this story of how Paula and her lab partner were careless. Paula ended up getting burned. This is kind of a surprise and bad news. So he reacts with surprise. He says, "No way." You say that when someone tells you something and it's almost hard to believe. What they're telling you is so shocking or surprising. You're like, "What? No way. I don't believe you. Is that true?" That's kind of what he's saying. So he's very surprised and, kind of worried too. So then he asks, "Are you okay? Does it hurt a lot? Do you have to go to a hospital? Like, how bad is this burn?" And then he says, "And is that why you didn't come to the cafeteria?" Remember they were supposed to meet at the cafeteria. Paula was only supposed to be getting her homework and dropping it off. That's right, but I guess she didn't come. She wasn't there all of lunch. So he's kind of trying to, oh, you weren't at lunch. You said you would be. Is that why you weren't? Because of the burn and all of that?
Yeah, and so she's going to answer first because he's so surprised and wants to make sure she's okay. So she responds first with, "I'm fine."
Okay.
And meaning, that's why I wasn't at the cafeteria. So she says, "And I was in the nurse's office for a while." So then she is answering his second part of the question in that second part of her little dialogue there.
That's right. And then Clint says, "Pahoo." No, he doesn't say pahoo. It looks like he says pahoo, but we don't say that. We say phew. PH like phone, like telephone. He says phew. This is an expression you would say. Here we're writing it, but generally people would say it when you're like, "Oh, I was worried now, but I'm not. I was worried before, but I'm not worried now." So when you get good news that kind of erases all the fear and the bad news you were expecting, you're not as worried anymore. So you say phew. It's just a way of expressing your sudden relaxing, right? From being afraid to, "Oh, it's okay. Phew. I'm glad you're okay," he says.
Yes, and so we just had a little piece in that last part that it was for a while, because she was at the nurse's for a while. So that just means for a period of time. So in this case, a while.
10 minutes?
10, 20, 30
minutes? An hour?
All of
2
that
hours?
could be okay.
It doesn't
Maybe not 2 hours.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a while. We might say for a little while. That might be less time. For a long while. Oh, I waited at this doctor's office for a really long while. A very long amount of time. But the point is, the exact number, the minutes, the hours, not that important. So we've been teaching this article for a while, for 3 days now. So I think that's about all the time we have. We hope Paula and Clint get home safely.
Yes.
I don't want to have another accident.
And her finger heals. I hope her finger
gets better. That's right. And tomorrow, hopefully, Clint will be at school with his tie looking nice, his shirt tucked in. because he's going to be doing it on his own from now. Thanks for joining us, guys. Take care of yourselves and each other and your fingers, and we'll see you back here sometime soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Paula waves to Clint from the playing field after school.
Why are you still here?
I had to run around the track in my last class, so I'm cooling down.
Do you need a ride home? My mom's here to get me.
That'd be great. Thanks. Hey, what's the matter with your finger?
My lab partner made a careless mistake and burned it.
No way. Are you okay? And is that why you didn't come to the cafeteria?
I'm fine, and yeah, I was in the nurse's office for a while.
Phew, I'm glad you're okay.
Hey, it's Winnie， 快来跟我一起学一些新的单字用。首先，今天第一个生字是 finger， 名词，手指。She pulled her hair back with her fingers. 她用手指把头发往后拨。第二个字是 partner， 名词，搭档或是伙伴。In class, our teacher asked us to find a partner for a game. 在课堂中，老师要我们找一个玩游戏的搭档。再来是 careless， 形容词，不小心的、粗心的。Pay attention to the details. Don't be careless. 注意细节，不要粗心大意。再来是 burn 动词，使烫伤或是烧伤。I burnt my fingers while cooking today. 我今天煮东西的时候不小心烫伤手指。好，接下来准备好看文法了吗？第一个是 A waves to B，A 向 B 挥手。Wave 呢在此为动词，挥手、招手。She waved goodbye to her parents on the way to school. 她在去学校的路上跟爸妈挥手道别。那接着是 cool down， 使凉快、冷却。It's so hot outside. Let's go into the department store to cool down. 外面好热，我们进去百货公司凉快一下。那这个除了在身体上的用法外，也可以作为情绪上静一静、冷静下来的意思。比方说 I need some alone time to cool down after someone makes me angry. 被人惹怒之后呢，我需要自己一个人静一静。最后的用语是 That is why 加主词加动词，那就是怎么样的原因。why 呢加主词加动词为名词子句的用法，在此作为 that is 的补语。She always stays on top of her things. That's why everybody trusts her. Stay on top of something 呢，这个用法字面上是说保持在某事物之上，其实意思就是完全掌控、了解的意思。他向来呢都会把所有的事情掌控得很好，那就是大家都很信任他的原因。Alright, that's it for today. I'll see you soon.
Hi guys, I'm Steven.
Hey everybody, I'm Shane.
And we're going to play a game called Word Drop where each of us has 3 words or phrases we haven't looked at yet. We're going to try to work it into a conversation as casually as possible. So I'll go first.
Oh, okay.
All right. So whenever I am doing something at home, like when I'm cooking or when I'm ironing clothes, which I do a lot, which is kind of probably surprising. I iron like every day.
Really?
Yeah, I like try to have very like nice like flat clothes.
Well, you do look like you have neat clothes.
But one thing that I am always so worried about is like, for instance, the stove or the iron itself. Like I'm always like, is it on? Is it on? And like I have to like try not to touch it because I don't want to get like, I don't want it to burn me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, getting burnt by an iron, not fun. In fact, I've been burnt by an iron several times because I used to, well, my parents had a laundry service. So we would actually help out there when I was a kid. And they had a business partner who was really clumsy and he constantly would move around and hit me with the iron.
What?
And yeah, you probably see some of the scars here still, but yeah.
That's terrible.
Right?
Wow. I mean, the worst that's ever happened to me is like when I'm ironing on the iron board, I'm just like, sometimes I get distracted and then I'm like watching TV as I do it. Like the worst that's ever happened to me is I'll be ironing and then like trying to get the wrinkles out of the shirt, like spraying the water, but then like I'll not do it at the, like, you know, I might iron and then spray the water. So I might like get the iron to, like, I might burn my finger sometimes, which hurts.
Oh, that sounds really bad.
Yeah.
Well, you do seem like you might be a little bit accident prone, but I'm not really sure how you look so good because you're always injuring yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me at least, like, I know that I tend to be pretty careless, so I've got bruises and cuts all over my body. So I didn't know that we're so similar.
Right. I mean, like sometimes, like one time I didn't even realize I burned my finger until I saw like my next door neighbor and like we're really close. And I was like, la 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 la, wait, I think that's my neighbor, right? So then like I went to go and I waved to him and then I was like, ow, my finger, like it's burnt. I didn't realize.
Well, I think one good way, like, so during the summer, you know, jumping into a pool, is there anything better than that?
No.
Well, let's say imagine you burn your finger. It's summertime, since you seem to be burning yourself a lot. If you need to cool down your finger, hop in a swimming pool and you will be golden.
Right. So hopefully you won't get infected. Okay.
Awesome.
See you next time.